Class is now in session. I'm Professor Hockey, and today we'll be recapping Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Dallas Stars and the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Stars had gotten the edge in Game 1, the Lightning with the edge in Game 2, and so both of these teams looking to try and get an advantage here in this third game, put themselves up 2-1 in the series, and it would eventually be the Lightning who would manage to do so with the 5-2 victory. This one would start off pretty well for them in the first period, getting the first 2 goals of this game from Kucherov, and then captain Steven Stamkos in his first appearance in these playoffs. I say appearance and not game because of the fact that he only played a couple of minutes in this game, which is something I'll get to a bit later. The Stars would manage to cut into the lead with a goal from Dickinson, and that would be the score at the end of the first period, 2-1 Lightning. So the Stars definitely didn't seem out of it, especially since it was actually a decent first period play-wise for them, but come second period, the Lightning just took over, put on 3 goals straight from Hedman, Point, and Palat, and had a 5-1 lead at the end of 40 minutes. The Stars would get 1 goal in the third period from Heiskanen, but it would not be nearly enough, and as I said, they dropped this one 5-2. Good news for the Lightning. Well, I guess before I get into that, I should talk about this Steven Stamkos situation. So Stamkos had skated a couple times in these playoffs prior to warm-ups, but had not yet found himself in the lineup. But tonight, he managed to fit himself in, but he only actually ended up playing a couple of shifts. But what's actually funny is that during those couple of shifts, he managed to score a goal. So, of course, we know Steven Stamkos is, a natural-born goal scorer, one of the best goal scorers in the NHL when he is healthy. So, kind of funny that he actually managed to score here, but he did not manage to finish the first period. He did return to the second period on the bench, but did not play another shift. Just sort of there for the moral support, which I think was a very good pick-me-up for this Lightning team. I don't know what the future holds here for Steven Stamkos during these playoffs. It's possible he's going to be healthy enough to play at some point in this series again, but honestly, I could also very well see the fact that Stamkos just does not get another game. Clearly, the fact that he only played a couple of minutes in this one shows that he's not fully healthy at all, so it'll be interesting to follow that storyline. The main good news for the Tampa Bay Lightning, it has to be sort of in a hypothetical situation that the Lightning will go on to win this Stanley Cup. Who would even get the Conn Smythe in this situation? Because there's just been so many elite performances from this Lightning squad. Of course, a pretty basic one to say would just be the Lightning goaltender. He's been so fantastic throughout most of these playoffs, so why not give it to Vasilevsky? But then there's Victor Hedman as well. 10 goals as a defenseman. He's been very good for them on the backside, so would you give it to him, first defenseman to win the Conn Smythe since Duncan Keith in 2015, if I'm not mistaken? But then there's also Nikita Kucherov. He just got to the 30-point mark here tonight. Why is he not the MVP in that situation? Braden Point, he's missed a couple games, but 11 goals with some great two-way play. Braden Point's a pretty good option too. Even a player like Palat, while I don't think he's necessarily in the conversation for the Conn Smythe, after a pretty slow start to these playoffs for himself, he's picked it up significantly in these last couple of series, been very good on that first line with Point and Kucherov. So this Lightning team has just clearly shown to have multiple players who are rolling very, very well. A big cliche said about the playoffs is sort of whichever team has the goalie who just gets hot at the right time is going to be able to win the Stanley Cup. Not only have the Lightning gotten that, but they also have multiple other pieces on their team playing at such a high level at the moment. It makes it so that this team is looking so good. On the bad news side for the Lightning, it's hard to call this much too much bad news, but I would like to see a bit more of a consistent 60 minutes from this team. Obviously, this second period was amazing, just completely dominating the Dallas Stars, getting 3 goals. But in the other 2 periods, yes, score effects does play a part in the fact that the third period, the Lightning didn't really have to push at all. But still, I would like to see not necessarily what we saw in the second period for the full 60 minutes. I doubt the Stars allow that, but definitely just a more active Lightning team throughout most of the game. On the Dallas Stars side, I guess I'll mix the good and bad news for them because it's sort of similar, is the fact that this sort of feels like the series prior in the Eastern Conference with the Lightning and the Islanders, although I do think the Stars are a better team than the Islanders. But when both these teams are sort of playing at an even level, the Stars maybe have like a slight advantage, but not nearly enough to try and carve out something in this game. And it feels as though they're trying the same strategy as they did against the Golden Knights, which is grinding it out and squeaking out these type of one-goal victories. But the problem is, and this is where the bad news part comes in, is the fact that when the Lightning sort of flip the switch, they just seem like an unstoppable team from the Dallas Stars perspective, and there was something that we did not get to see from the Golden Knights in the previous round, which is why this Stars tactic worked. But with the Lightning, just so many elite players, as I mentioned earlier, Kucherov, Point, Palat, this first line, and even some of their depth players like Coleman and Killorn and Barclay Goodrow, I guess you could say, the team just clicks and rolls so well when they're switched on, like in this second period, that the Stars just can't really keep up in that situation. So it just feels as though that at an even level, the two teams are perfectly fine, but the Stars don't necessarily have that next level to get to, like the Lightning have shown at times during this series, which was a similar problem that the Islanders had in the previous round against the Lightning as well. But that will do it for this recap. In terms of my prediction, I had said the Lightning would win it in 6 games. Now up 2-1 in that series. It looks like that prediction's looking pretty solid thus far. Class dismissed.